welcome, hola, what's good? Hey, y'all, hey, you are tuned in to Circle Up with Amanda Hurd. What's good, family? Listen, you already know what it is. We are already in the 4th week of season 6. Rooted in maturity. I'm super excited about this episode as usual. You guys know I just get so excited over all of the episodes. I think each season just gets better and better, and so this is a good season. This season, as you are familiar with, if you tune in weekly, if this is your first time tuning in, we are talking about pruning the heart. This is a season of reflection. So I'm excited to dive deep into this topic. This topic is just one of those things that's going to teach us more so how to lean more into maturity instead of being in our childlike ways. You know how that can be sometimes. But before we dive deep into that, I would love to go ahead and give our shout out of the week. This week, I'm super excited to be able to shout out one of my best friends. I'm so excited about this thing. Listen, you guys, she has been doing her thing out there with this balloon thing. So I want you guys to run over to Instagram and type in _balloons by Linda, all one word. There you can find a lot of the fun, different artwork she can do. She is able to put together with her balloons. And if you don't see something that's quite grabbing your attention or something that you're quite looking for, don't let that stop you. Listen, reach out to her. She is really crafty when it comes to this stuff. She can do weddings, baby showers, birthdays, adult parties, and hey, you name it, she's good at the game. So I encourage you so much to go ahead, run over to Instagram. Once again, that's _balloons by Linda. Get your balloons booked now. Listen, she books up really quickly, so this is something that you don't want to miss out on. Now that we have got our shout outs out the way, I'm not going to hold you any longer. Grab your snacks, drinks, and chairs, and let's get ready to circle up. Rooted in maturity. Yeah, this is going to be a good lesson. This is going to be a good lesson, a good topic, a good episode, simply because we are about to really get to see our reflection. And with knowing that this season is surrounded around self-reflection and pruning the heart, this is a good episode because this is our first step to being able to kind of see our reflection. The past couple of episodes more so talked about cutting off just the unwanted or unneeded or unnecessary branches or stems that was connected to the heart that was causing us to have an unhealthy heart. Although this episode will do that as well, this is the first episode that we will actually be able to visualize our reflection. So let's dive right in. Rooted in maturity. Listen, I was having this conversation with one of my sisters. Y'all are probably like, she always talking to her sisters, and is. Listen, get you some sisters, some brothers, get you some friends that's close, that you can say sisters, brothers, family. Listen, get you somebody. Okay, get you somebody that you can talk to in, out all the time, and get you, different groups of people, because some topics are not for everybody. Some topics you may speak one language, and another topic you may speak a foreign language. And so, depending on where you are and where the other individual is, you may not be able to open up as much or even share such things with certain people. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody ends up respecting their lanes and knowing where they stand and fit. So that's a part of maturity too. Listen, knowing where you fit and not being jealous or annoyed that, you're talking to, or your friend is talking to one person and not the other, or whatever. I don't know. That can get yucky. But hey, maturity speaks volumes. But anyhow, let's get into this. So I was talking to my sister, one of my sisters, and it was so funny because we were having this, well, it was funny, but it wasn't funny. But we were having this semi-deep conversation. And the conversation was about an encounter that she had one night with the Lord. And in this encounter, listen, y'all, it was phenomenal. Okay, she'll have to share her story one day if she's comfortable and wanting to do that. But it was just a phenomenal time. Like, what she experienced in that moment it's mind blowing. It's breathtaking. And so because God is all powerful, and because God is all in all, right? He has all the answers. He knows, what we need when we don't know what we need. He knows the ins and outs of us. And during this encounter, he exposed himself to her in a way that she has yet experienced. And during the experience, he did something so amazing for her that it kind of overtook her. And so the funny thing about it, this is where it kind of gets funny, because after all of this, stuff that he did to not even prove himself to be who he is, but enough stuff where she was assured, okay, this ain't me. Like, this has to be God, She went back in at the end of this experience and was like, Lord, if this is you, could you do X, Y, and Z? And what she was asking him to do was really a simple act of just like being there. And the response that she received in that moment was like, you mean to tell me I just did all of this, and without a doubt that I did all of this, like I did this, and you still need me to prove myself to you? And he went into detail with her. He gave her this vision. And this is the beautiful part about it. This is the part where we're going to wrap this episode around. He gave her this vision, and he showed her, like, when you are a child, when you are an infant, when you're a baby, you need this type of attention. But now, who you are and where you are, now that you have grown, you do not need all of that. I should be able to speak, and that should be good enough. We are not going back. Wow. I don't know about you guys, but for me, that was very, very deep. And I'm going to say it was deep because I can identify with a moment so similar. Like, how many times has the Lord shown up in your life? I know in my life, he's shown up more times than I can count on in my hands. And then I times that by 1,000,000, because there's so many times that he's shown up that I'm just not even aware of. Like, there's so many things that I was safe from, or hidden from, or didn't have to experience, or pulled through, like made it through an experience because he was there. And so those are just countless phenomenal times. But the times that I know without a doubt, that I am assured of without a doubt that he has shown up in my life, I can recall myself being just like she was and saying, Lord, I know that was you. All of what just happened was amazing. But if that was you, can you do X, Y, and Z? Or like, show me this, that, and the third. And it's like, how dare I, like, where I am at this state, there is no confirm. Like, I knew without a doubt, like, maybe in the beginning, maybe when I was just becoming aware of, maybe when I was really in my unsure states. But at this state, you are past the pacifiers. You're past the milk bottles. You're past me holding your hands. You're at a stage where when I say something to you, I expect you to know that this is me talking and you to act according to what I spoke. And that takes maturity. That takes leveling up. That takes growing up. That takes, all of the things that you should have learned and taken in at this young age, at this young state. It's time for you to put that stuff into action. And so just like that, in that field, we have to be able to move those things, move this principle over to other areas of our lives, in our marriages, in our families, at our works, jobs. I don't know. I guess that sounds better than works. But everywhere that we go, we should not be grown adults acting like little toddlers, whining, crying, complaining when we don't get our way, fussing, arguing, fighting when, if the next day your body gonna be all swole up, hurting and bruised and you can't move and all this stuff, you too old for that. Like there comes a time where you're too old for that. And I think that we get so comfortable in that toddler state and that baby state. I think we get so comfortable being held, being rocked, being told 2, 3, 4 times, being, just pampered, that when it's time to get out there on our own, when it's time to get out there on our own, it's like the comfort changes and it becomes uncomfortable. I don't know how many times in your life you will have to be in a position where it's your turn to apologize first, where it's your turn to correct the red marks, where it's your turn to, stop waiting for someone to do and you be the one to do. Like there comes a time in life, in each and every role of our life, where we must grow up, where we must not be the one leaning on, but now we are the ones that people begin to lean on. And if we don't take root in this place, then what we're doing is suffocating ourselves from growth. What we're doing is we're robbing ourselves from the opportunity of growth. You may grow in age number, right? You may grow in height. You may grow in size. You may grow in all of these areas where you're able to be seen. But if you still throw temper tantrums, if you still, speak out of your mouth as if you are a toddler, if you still walk wobbling, if you still begin to go about your days thinking that no consequences can be held, then you are not growing spiritually. You are not growing in a way that it matters, it counts. I don't know how many grown babies I've seen. I don't know how long I was a grown baby, if we're being honest. There's just so many different levels and areas where we have to allow maturity to have its space, where the little child is no longer welcome. It's funny because when you think about a young child, you think that, your mind can go so many different places. But one place I want to take you to is when you think about being in a home, being in a house, and you're having this gathering with your friends and their kids and your kids. Normally at these parties, I don't know if a lot of people are still, in alignment with this, because it really looks to me as if it's heading backwards. But normally, or hey, used to be, is the adults were in one room and the kids would be in another. Because where the adults were, there was a lot more adult talk. There was a lot more adult things taking place, things that kids were not to be exposed to or didn't have a right to speak in. And so those just weren't friendly areas for a child's mind to be. And so the kids had their own zone. But nowadays you see a little mixture of the kids being with the adults and the kids responding to adult conversations, and adults being with the kids and the adults responding in kids' conversations. And it looks chaotic. It looks a mess. Have you ever found yourself getting in between two kids arguing and you trying to take a side and you find out that both of them wrong? Like my grandma used to always say, don't get in them kids' conversation. Let those kids be kids. And I honestly didn't think that she knew what she was talking about. Listen now. I was like, no, somebody need to, step in, interfere. Somebody need to help them out. But every time I found myself caught up in a child's conversation, I was dead wrong. Like I either chose the wrong side or they both ended up guilty. And it was like, okay, that's why I should have just mind my business. Because see, the reason that he did X, Y, and Z is because she did A, B, C. And if she wouldn't have did A, B, C, it wouldn't have caused him to do X, Y, Z. Now, both of y'all wrong because you shouldn't have did A, B, C, and you shouldn't have did X, Y, Z. But at this point, I see what the cause and the effect. And then when you think about it on the other side, and you think about when a child is in an adult conversation, normally that child has to get put back in its place. Normally that child has to be re-humbled and sent out. And when that happens, it never feels good. When that happens, it never looks good. When that happens, it exposes much. And so really what I'm saying here is you don't want to be caught on either side. You want to be in your right lane. So as you grow, as you get older, as you get out of those areas of childlike things, being an adult comes with its own rules and laws. And one of those requirements is to not move in a childlike manner anymore. You ever try to have a conversation with someone and they were responding like a child? Like I'm talking to you and then you got your arms crossed and your mouth mute. Like, am I talking to the wall? Like, do you not hear me? Do you know how frustrating and aggravating that is? And not only that, but do you know how silly the individual looks? Is that you? It was me before. Literally, I would just be like, okay, well, I just ain't gonna say nothing. Well, I'm just gonna be mute. I ain't got nothing to say. I'm gonna let this situation be dead. But that was not the mature way of fixing the problem. The mature way of fixing the problem would have been to open up my mouth and have an adult conversation. When you speak, I respond. When, I speak, you respond. We talk through these things. We work through these things. But a lot of times that is lacked because we are still stuck in our childlike ways. Now, in so many ways, there are good things to keep and to have in a child sense, like humbleness. That's a good thing. Like the faith of a child, that's a good thing. But things when it comes to growing in response of learning and doing and going about, then those are the things that we must grow out of when we're transitioning from a child to an adult. When we're transitioning into maturity. And I'm speaking on this thing, and I decided to add this thing into this season because I believe there's just a red alert all over with us adults still running around acting like toddlers. See, this is where we have to check the heart. This is where the heart series part comes in. Because in your heart, if you still respond like a child, then what is that saying to your next? What is that saying to your children, to your husband or wife, to your family? What is that saying to your job? It's saying that you're unresponsible, unreliable. It's saying that you can't be trusted. Because you don't expect nor trust a child to have so much responsibility. You give more to an adult because you expect them to be more mature. But I remember a state in my life when it was around the first time I had my first job. And I remember every payday, I would literally call out sick because I wanted to take my check, go to the mall, get me some new shoes. I wanted to take my check, go out, get something to eat, get me a new jacket or something. Like, I would call out sick every single payday. Now, I'm pretty sure my boss was not slow. And he knew ain't no way in the world you sick every other week on payday. But you see, because I was still young, he still responded to me with the level of maturity I had. Now listen, because that was never really corrected, I tried that again when I became a little bit older. But this boss wasn't having that. Something wrong every time you get paid? Something ain't right. Well, we're going to have to start removing you off the schedule for X, Y, and Z. And you see, that shook my everything. It's like, wait a minute, because when you remove me off the schedule, that means that I ain't going to get paid as much. That means I can't afford to take off because I can't go get what I want to get because stuff ain't adding up. And so it's when I began to level up in my maturity. It's when I began to understand that I can no longer act like that I was able to grow. I was able to get into positions and get into situations that I was able to grow from, grow in. I was able to exceed. I was able to get more. It's like we get excited when we hear more. We get excited when we hear about the growth and the new levels and the new positions. But when we get into those positions and we act like a child, when we lack maturity, those things will not stand. Those things stop our growth, because if we're in this place that has all these opportunities of growth, all these opportunities of windows that can be open for us, and we act with a lack of maturity, those positions will continuously pass us by. Those offers will continuously pass us by. If we stay in that place of, I'm not going to call them because they can call me, the phone works both ways, there's no room for growth. There's literally no room for growth. The conversations will continuously remain dead, continuously remain non-existent until someone matures, someone levels up, decides to grow and pick up the phone and call. If nobody in the marriage wants to be mature enough to apologize when something goes wrong, then the silence will remain. The wedge will remain in between the two. You see how important maturity is. Maturity is that thing that really helps you in that growing process. I believe, I'm bold enough to say, it's the food. It's the food, the source of food to that growing process. We have to begin to look at things from a new standpoint. We have to begin, and the first thing to look at is ourselves. The first thing to look at is ourselves. How are we responding? How are we responding to the different experiences that we encounter in life? Are we responding from a place of lack of maturity, or are we responding from a place of maturity? Because you see, maturity speaks volumes. Maturity will actually place you in positions where you can flourish. It opens up doors that you never expected to open. Looking someone in their eyes, shaking their hand, smiling, giving that presence of you are trustworthy. It opens up doors. When you want to have an attitude, cutting that short and responding from a place of purity. Learning how to put away the things that are not important. It's funny that this is even a conversation that should be had. Until I take a look at myself. Because when I can look at myself and I see the reflection where maturity has lacked in certain areas, and I begin to see this tall person that acts like this little person, it becomes embarrassing. And the funny thing about that is, it's not just like I'm just now catching on to that's what the reflection looks like. But the crazy thing is that's what everybody else sees. So when you think that you're moving and you're going and you're growing and you're doing this thing because you don't play and because this is who you are and how you are, others are not seeing that about you. Others are seeing the exact reflection that you're putting out, that toddler, he or she that you are. Let's mature. Let's take this principle of being rooted in maturity and allowing it to get so strong in our lives that it fills every area of our life, every gap of our life. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Rooted in maturity. Rooted in maturity. I encourage you all to take a deep look at your heart this week. And every immature branch that is weighing on your heart, give it over to God. Ask Him to remove it, to break it, to pull it up from its roots, so that when these seeds of maturity are planted inside of you, they may take deep root inside of you, and that they are able to grab hold and become strong in all areas, so that you no longer even recognize that little girl, that little guy, and that you become bold in Him, bold in you, and bold in everywhere that you go. Be blessed, guys. Talk to you soon. Thank you again for tuning in to Circle Up with Amanda Hurd. I pray that this episode is an episode that you were able to gain a few jewels or twos from, that you were able to find those places, those areas in your life that need to be uprooted, and that you begin to give those things over to the Lord. Resist those things. Ask the Lord to come in and help you remove those places of unwanted maturity, the unwanted lack of maturity, If there's any area, any seed, any root that is unpleasing, that is keeping you in that childlike space, we ask that it be removed. If you need help removing those things, feel free to reach out to us here at Circle Up. Find us on social media, Facebook and Instagram via circleup_AH, and we will be sure to reach back out to you and help you on this journey. If there is something that we just cannot do, we just cannot get the answer for you, don't allow that thing to draw any kind of poor attention. Listen, we are connected to some wonderful, wonderful people, and if we don't have it, then I'm pretty sure they have it. And if they don't have it, they're connected to someone who does have it. So there is a chain of people that are here waiting to connect with you. Be blessed, guys. Bye.